so we finished the tutorial, but then that's my background downstairs over there. Couple things I wanted to just add in after the fact was we did discover when we ran out of elastic that pretty much the standard ponytail holders are like the exact perfect size. They're already 6 inches if you just split them in half. So that was a really good alternative if you run out of elastic. And then the other thing that I discovered, we were just basically using whatever scraps was available. So I did find that if you're using a more stiff fabric, it's a lot easier to go ahead and sew that down compared to if you have something with a softer drape. So if you don't know what that means, because you don't sew typically, like if you have something that has like a really flowy, soft feel to it, it's a lot harder to sew compared to something that's super stiff, like a cheap sheet maybe or something like that. So if you are gonna just cut up old clothing or materials or something like that to use, go for something stiffer if possible, compared to like a t-shirt material is gonna be really difficult to sew. And that's pretty much it. So stay tuned for how to actually make the masks. All right, so first thing you need to do is go ahead and cut out 9 by 18 inch squares. So you're literally gonna 9 inches by 18 inches, or rectangle, not square, and 6-inch chunks of elastic. If you don't have elastic, you could do this with ribbon. You could cut hair ties to get the elastic, whatever. If you are using elastic, the recommended cut is 6 inches. If you're doing ribbon, I would go a lot longer, like enough to tie a bow around the top of your head and the bottom of your head. So, okay. Step 2 is gonna be, you're gonna iron down, just fold over about like 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch on the short side, okay? So on the short side. And we're gonna go ahead and sew up this seam right here.
This one's cool.
Right, so on this one, we already sewed this line down. And after you sew this line down, you're gonna also fold in the long side and iron that out, okay? And then before we do any more sewing, we're gonna do a little more folding. After you have this side long ways ironed down, you're gonna go ahead and basically bring this up fairly close over to this top seam and then fold this top seam over. So you're making like a perfect little square, okay? So we're basically creating the pocket that you can slip, you know, another mask or a filter or whatever inside of right now. So once you have this as your little perfect square, you're gonna take the whole entire square, so you have that folded over it, you know, flip it over, and you have to do the pleating, okay? So in order to do the pleating, you're gonna fold over one time, and if you look from the side, you wanna try to not make more than 2 layers at any given point, or it'll be hard to sew. So we're gonna do 1 pleat, 2 pleats, and then we'll do a 3rd pleat. So I'm gonna go ahead and press that so it's easier to fold and hold at the same time. So I'm just doing like a light press first, just so that way it's, again, easier to fold. And then I'm gonna do this 3rd fold real quick. So again, it doesn't need to be like looking perfect, because it's not gonna look like that once the person's wearing it anyway. It's gonna be basically, you know, evened out and pushed out. So you'll see the whole entire square basically when the person has it on. So now you want to give it kind of like a good press. So you should have your 3 pleats on the front, your pocket on the back, and then you're just going to sew up these 2 lines, inserting the elastic in the front and the back. So you have your 2 elastics, and you're going to do the exact same thing anyways on both sides. So you're just gonna take your elastic, slip it in between the seam. Personally, I actually go ahead and put it behind the foot, because you're gonna come back over it anyway. And just make sure that you have enough that it's gonna catch and get sewed down really well, because this part is gonna be having the most stress. So we're gonna go ahead and just sew this seam. And we're gonna back it up to go over that and get it in there nice and good. And see how it's already struggling because there's a lot of fabric there. So we're gonna lift up the foot a little bit and help it pass through. So we're just gonna go ahead and sew the seam down. And again, anywhere where you have like a lot of fabric, it might have a hard time going through. So you're gonna have to make sure that you don't have it getting bunched up. And then when you come to the end, you're gonna do the exact same thing you did at the beginning. You're gonna slip the elastic into the seam, okay, so that you can sew it, and you're gonna have to back stitch it a little bit to lock it in. And that's it, one side is done. Okay, so when it finishes, it will basically look like this. So you have your pocket to put in any insert that you want to put in, and then on the front, when the person is actually using it, it will spread out.